Radio 97, let's talk some law. Our resident lawyer, Despina Priala of boutique law firm Priala Legal in Runaway Bay. With us each and every Thursday morning at this time, she brings her legal expertise and she provides general advice on the latest hot topics. She's got experience that spans more than 25 years in the area of property and commercial law. She prepares wills as part of estate planning and litigation. And with us once again on this Thursday morning, lovely day. Good morning to you, Despina.
Good morning, Wayne. Good morning, Brooke.
Good morning, Wayno. Good morning, Despina. Welcome back to Talking Law this fine Thursday morning. Today, this first topic, we're talking about Queensland law. So new tenancy laws are commencing in less than a month. So, Despina, what can you confirm will change as of July 1?
Okay, so big changes and they're already coming into force. So that is the big thing. So you know how we talk a lot about law reform on the show, and I say, look, it's not in place yet. It hasn't taken effect. These are definitely taking effect on the 1st of July. So we want to be really clear with that. So come 1st of July, that's it, they're in. The second thing I want to say is they're actually retrospective, which is really unusual. So come 1st of July, they will be applying to all new tenancies moving forward from the 1st of July. That makes sense. But they're also going to apply to existing tenancies in place. So if you've got a tenancy agreement right now, whether you're a landlord or tenant, it will apply to your tenancy agreement that'll continue after the 1st of July. So that's a big one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to talk about how it's going to impact on landlords and tenants practically, we're going to talk about some examples, and we're going to go through some of the examples listed on the Residential Tenancy Authority's website. And I would really encourage people to have a look at that, and we'll give the website details later. But really, really good examples. I've read through them. They make sense, actually. So sometimes they don't make sense.
Yay! A website that makes sense when talking about law changes.
Exactly. So they actually make sense. So to start off, what I will say is, the only thing that I didn't like about this, and there are other people in the industry in different professional bodies that have said the same thing, that these new laws that are coming into force, there was no consultation process. So normally when there are proposed new laws, professional bodies such as the Queensland Law Society or the REIQ in this particular case, or other bodies, get to provide their comments, right? So there's a public consultation process. Now, that never happened with this at all. So it was all of a sudden, okay, we've got these new laws. That's it. Here they are. And they're starting on the 1st of July. Now, we generally don't like that, because the whole idea of the public consultation is relevant people in different professional bodies provide their valuable input to propose new laws that are going to impact thousands of people in Queensland. So that didn't happen. So then you wonder why. I think this reaction was a knee-jerk reaction. If I can say that, well, let's just get some laws out there. And why did they have this, if you could call it a knee-jerk reaction? And look at the current market and the economy. So they were saying, look, we have to do something to stop inflation. We have to do something to deal with the cost of living pressures on the everyday Australian. We have to do something to stabilise rents in private rental markets, right? So, and they also said, look, there really wasn't an alternative, was there? I don't know if that's true. We'll never know, because the laws are going to come into place now on the 1st of July. We won't know if there were other alternatives or other options available. But they said, look, there really wasn't. We just put these laws in and that's that. So let's get on with it. So let's try and explain to people what it really means. So the crux of it is that from the 1st of July, you will not be able to increase your rent under a 12-month period. That's it. So, yeah, and that's essentially it. Now, how that plays out in different examples, we're going to talk about that, because every person's rental agreement is different. So some have 6 months, some have 12 months. Some are obviously existing now that will expire after the 1st of July. What happens with those? And some are commencing from the 1st of July. But if you just always remember, the whole point of the laws is you will no longer have a rent increase less than 12 months. So it can only be once every 12 months. So that would mean you have to say, well, why did they bring this in? Well, the obvious answer to that question is you currently have rental increases that can occur every 6 months. Right. So the government says, well, that's no good. We've got, issues with the economy, pressures, cost of living pressures, as I said, try to stabilize the rental market. I know, let's make sure that they can't increase the rent any more than once per year. And that's what it is. So let's talk about some examples. I think we really need to get to the meat of it to try and explain what this means. So here's an example on the website. You've got 3 tenants that move into a rental property in February this year. Right? The rental agreement's only 6 months. Okay. So when the tenancy agreement ends, so it would end at the end of July, and then you'd have a new tenancy agreement starting in August. So that would mean after the 1st of July, so after the new laws come in. One of the 3 tenants is going to stay in the property. Okay. So as one of the tenants is the same tenants that were already in there, so prior to the 1st of July, the rent cannot be increased until February 2024, because that's 12 months from the original agreement in February 2023. So the rent can't be increased to February 2024. And if the landlord tries to do that, they can't. It's unenforceable. Okay. So that's one example. So I'll give you another example. So, and this is a little bit opposite. So you got the 3 tenants move into a rental property again in February 2023 on a 6-month agreement. When the rental agreement ends, right, in July, August, all 3 tenants move out. They're gone. Okay. So 3 new tenants move in. Okay. And the rent can be increased, right, as long as none of the existing tenants stay. Okay.
Yeah. It's
so
a
then
new
you can
contract,
increase.
basically. Bond, new people, then it's starting fresh.
New people, you start
Yep.
afresh. Yep. So obviously you can increase the rent from that day, but then the next rental increase can't be until 12 months later.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah.
does. It does. You talked about retrospectivity here. So we're talking about, agreements that are already in place when we cross that first day of the new month, first day of July. That in itself is a little unusual, isn't it? To be looking at agreements that are already in place and putting the same laws in for previous agreements too.
Yeah, it is unusual, but I suppose one of the questions they might have asked themselves is, if we don't do that, how will it be equitable? How will it equally apply to every single person that's a tenant in a property? How can we segregate? And that's probably, and I suppose, look, on one way I agree with it, on the other hand I don't. I understand the methodology and the reasoning, if that's what it was. Let's have it apply to everybody in a rental tenancy situation. Landlords probably won't like that, of course. I understand that. But really, I suppose it was the most equitable and the most fair from a consumer tenant point of view. Maybe not from the landlord's point of view, but certainly from a consumer tenant point of view, yes, that's probably the reason.
And was, like you said, everyone, it does apply to everyone in Queensland, but are there any type of households or people exempt from the raise in the tenancy agreement?
Yeah, interesting you ask. So this is residential tenancies. Okay, so we're not dealing with commercial premises of any kind. So the new laws actually apply to NRAS and community housing. So they will apply to those, but they won't apply to Queensland government housing at all. Yeah, so that was interesting to find on the website. And look, as I said, this website, we want to read it out because there's so much information on here and it's really easy to read. I would encourage everybody to jump on. If they're in a tenancy agreement, you're a tenant. Oh, what's going to happen to us from the 1st of July? So I would look at your tenancy agreement right now. If it's a 6-month tenancy agreement, then, and if you've got a rental increase coming up, then that won't apply. So you just want to get your head around it in case the landlord does do something wrong or the managing agent doesn't do something right. Yeah. So you should have a look at this. I would encourage everyone to do it. So the website is rta.qld.gov.au, and then you just put in rental law changes.
Perfect. That is rta.qld.gov.au. Thank you so much, Despina, for talking through those changes coming up on July 1 for our Queensland tenants. And this one is for everyone. Queensland, New South Wales. What happens if council are mowing, say near the road, and your windshield then gets hit by a rock and damaged, completely shattered? Who pays for it? That's a question posed by lovely Darren and his wife, Jenny. Thank you so much for the question. We'll be answering that in just a moment right here on Talking Law.
Are you confused about legal jargon? Do you need legal advice but don't know where to turn? Tune in to Talking Law with Despina Priala every Thursday morning at 8:30 on Radio 97. Despina, a leading lawyer with over 20 years of experience, will demystify the law and provide practical advice to help you navigate legal issues. Whether it's a family matter, a property dispute, or a business concern, Talking Law has got you covered. Don't miss out on this valuable resource. Tune in to Talking Law with Despina Priala every Thursday morning at 8:30 on Radio 97.